A war can change direction without changing facts on the ground. In the morning, President Trump was threatening to hit Iran very hard. He was talking about Kharg Island, oil infrastructure, and more bombing. By the afternoon, he said the scheduled strikes and bombings against Iran had been canceled. His explanation was simple and dramatic. Talks had reached the highest level of Iranian leadership. Final points had been approved in concept and detail, and a signing would be announced soon. Iran has not yet fully confirmed that final deal. That is the hinge of this story. This is the synthetic lens. Today, the U.S.-Iran war did not end cleanly. It entered the Trump phase of deal by declaration. The old frame for this episode was the Strait of Hormuz breaking the ceasefire. That was true this morning. U.S. strikes, Iranian retaliation claims, a threatened closure of Hormuz, reported vessel attacks, and warnings about Kharg Island all pointed toward another escalation cycle. But the latest turn changes the episode. The question now is not only whether the ceasefire is collapsing, it is whether a conflict can be paused by a memorandum of understanding that one side describes as nearly done, while the other side still has not fully, publicly closed the loop. James Okafor is with us. James, start with the whiplash. What actually changed today?
The core military fact is that the United States had planned additional strikes against Iran for Thursday evening. Trump then said he canceled those scheduled strikes and bombings. That matters because it came only hours after he had been threatening the opposite. He said the U.S. would hit Iran very hard. He floated taking Kharg Island and other oil infrastructure points. He also claimed the U.S. had already done severe damage to Iran's military capability. Then the public posture flipped. Instead of new strikes tonight, he described progress toward a settlement. He said discussions had been elevated to Iran's highest leadership and approved. He said the naval blockade would remain until the transaction is finalized. So the immediate military risk has changed. The next scheduled U.S. strike package is, according to Trump, off the table for now. But that is not the same thing as a verified end to the war.
Because the paper is not fully signed.
Exactly. AP, Reuters, BBC, NBC, Politico, and Al Jazeera all converge on the same careful read. Trump says a deal is close or even made, subject to documents. But Iran has not yet issued the kind of final confirmation that would let us treat this as a closed settlement.
Reuters says Iranian sources described a political understanding and that Iran may approve the agreement. Al Jazeera frames it as a memorandum of understanding, an off-ramp from immediate fighting, not a comprehensive final deal. AP notes Trump has repeatedly said deals were close before without them materializing. Ingrid Halverson joins us now. Ingrid, the Strait of Hormuz is still central, but the role changed. It was the crisis point. Now it is the bargaining chip.
That's the right way to put it. Hormuz was the pressure point because Iran claimed closure, and Central Command said commercial ships were still moving. Shipping companies do not need a perfect legal closure to feel the risk. They need uncertainty, insurance problems, crew concerns, and reason to wait offshore. The new piece is that Trump is now saying the strait would officially open as soon as a deal is signed. Reuters reported him saying a signing could happen as soon as the weekend, possibly in Europe. NBC and BBC both report that the blockade remains in force until the transaction is finalized. That means Hormuz is no longer just a battlefield-adjacent choke point, it is one of the deal's deliverables. Open the strait, reduce shipping risk, lower oil pressure, and claim the war is being wound down.
But if the blockade remains until finalization, the pressure is still active.
Yes, this is not peace replacing coercion, it is coercion being used to finish paperwork. The blockade stays. The market knows the difference between an announced path and an implemented one. You saw oil prices react quickly to both directions. Prices rose when Trump threatened more strikes and oil infrastructure control. Then they fell when he said the strikes were canceled and a deal was near. Markets are not declaring peace. They are repricing the probability of the next missile.
Stan Rogers is here for diplomacy. Stan, what do we call this? A deal, a ceasefire extension, a memorandum, a press statement with aircraft in the background?
I would call it an off-ramp claim until the documents and Iranian confirmation catch up. Trump used very strong language. He said the U.S. had made a great settlement of the war with Iran. He said finalization of documents should happen over the next few days. He said there may be a signing in Europe. He also said the arrangement means Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. But the reporting is careful for a reason. Al Jazeera cites Iranian officials saying mediation by Qatar and Pakistan is ongoing and not Tehran has red lines. Politico notes that Iran had not publicly weighed in on Trump's announcement. AP says Iran has not confirmed agreement to a settlement. So if we say Trump made a deal, we are repeating Trump's frame. If we say Trump claims a deal framework is approved and canceled tonight's strikes, we are describing the verified story.
And the difference matters?
It matters enormously. In war, a statement can move markets and aircraft even before it moves diplomats. If the statement holds, it may be the first real off-ramp in weeks. If it does not, it becomes another example of public deadline diplomacy colliding with military facts.
Elena Vasquez, bring in the human layer. A headline about documents in Europe can make the last 24 hours sound clean. They were not clean.
No, they were not. The people under this story are not living inside a diplomatic calendar. They are living inside sirens, debris, vessel alerts, and uncertainty. Before the deal claim, we had reporting on U.S. strikes inside Iran, Iranian retaliation claims across the Gulf, Jordan saying it intercepted missiles, Bahrain reporting drone debris and a minor injury to an 11-year-old girl, and vessel incidents involving Indian mariners. Those facts do not disappear because a signing may happen this weekend. If anything, they become the reason both sides may want the off-ramp. But they also become the reason the off-ramp is fragile. Families, crews, and regional governments have just seen how quickly the ceasefire language can be overridden by force.
James, if the scheduled strikes are canceled, what should listeners watch next?
First, Iranian confirmation, not a rumor, not a semi-official hint, but a clear public statement that Tehran accepts the framework or will sign the memorandum. Second, operational behavior. Does the U.S. actually pause new strikes? Does Iran pause missile and drone attacks? Do regional air defenses stand down from alert posture? Does the blockade change in practice or only after signing? Third, Hormuz traffic. If commercial transit normalizes and insurers begin relaxing war risk assumptions, that tells you the deal is becoming real in the world. If ships still hesitate, the headline has not yet become operating reality. And watch oil. Oil is not a moral instrument, but it is a fast sensor. It will not tell you whether the deal is good. It will tell you whether traders believe the next 24 hours are less dangerous than the last 24.
Stan, what are the political risks for Trump?
He is trying to claim leverage and restraint at the same time. The morning language was maximum pressure, hit them hard, threaten Kharg, control oil. The afternoon language was maximum deal-making, settlement, signing, no nuclear weapons. That can work if the deal lands. The story becomes pressure produced the off-ramp. But if Iran walks it back, delays, or disputes the terms, the story becomes the president announced more than the diplomacy could support. There is also the Israel question. Reuters and Al Jazeera both report that Israel is not formally a party to the memorandum, while Netanyahu's office wants any final arrangement to address enriched material, enrichment infrastructure, missile production, and proxy support. That is a lot to put behind the phrase, deal soon. Elena, final human read. Is this good news?
It is good news if tonight's strikes really do not happen. That is not small. Every canceled strike is a set of people not being placed under a target list tonight. But it is not clean news. It is conditional good news. The same machinery that produced the last strikes is still there. The blockade is still there. The claims about Hormuz are still there. The families near bases, ports, ships, and air defenses are still waiting to see whether the political sentence becomes a real pause.
That is the center of the updated story. This morning, the episode was about a ceasefire being broken by the Strait of Hormuz. Tonight, it is about a president trying to turn that same crisis into a transaction. Trump says the scheduled attacks are canceled. He says a deal is coming. Iran has not yet fully confirmed the final settlement. The blockade remains until the transaction is finalized. Hormuz is still the lever. Oil is still the censor. And the people in the region are still living with the risk between announcement and signature. So the safest headline is not "the war is over." It is this: Trump has declared an off-ramp. Now Iran, the blockade, the ships, and the next 24 hours get a vote. For the Synthetic Lens, I'm David Carver.